Hello, I'm the Reverend Patricia Hart, Developmental Minister of this First Unitarian Universalist Society of Burlington, Vermont. I am very glad you're here. Members of the congregation and friends and neighbors, visitors from close by and far away. Your presence makes this worship possible. Wherever you are, wherever you've been, you're welcome here now. I want to thank all those who made this worship service with me. Erika, Reif for the wonderful story, James Stewart and Sam Whitesell for the music and the video production, to my husband, the Reverend Peter Newport, for his skills behind the camera. I'm grateful too for all of the pictures that you've sent. I asked last week for people to send in pictures of themselves and flowers somehow, so that we can use them for the flower communion in a couple of weeks. I hope you will send more so we can really decorate that service. If you would like to learn something more about Unitarian Universalism or this congregation, look for the link underneath this video in YouTube and send us a note to let us know who you are and what we can tell you. We are apart today in body. We are united in our hearts, in our care for each other and the world, and for this congregation. Find your chalice, get your cup of tea or coffee, find a comfortable chair or a cozy couch as we settle in at a distance together to worship. The call to worship this morning was written by the Reverend Gretchen Haley. Although there remains too much evidence of the world breaking apart at coastlines, in the fires in Congress and kitchen tables, inside the quiet places of your heart and mine, there resides still the seed, the longing to return to this knowing that we belong to each other, this earth, this life. To remember ourselves and all of our lost pieces, beloved in ways that cannot be undone. To dwell here in this healing, this hope, this wholeness is our practice of resistance. Even in rage, we refuse to relinquish gratitude or joy. Come, let us worship together. And let us light the flame of our chalice, symbol of Unitarian Universalism around the world. Say the words with me. We kindle this chalice flame to remind ourselves of the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. And now our reflection for all ages.
Good morning. I find that sometimes when we want to do good in the world, when we want to be helpful, we need to give up something that's really important to us, something that we actually care about. And that's not always easy. And sometimes we don't get to wake up in the morning and decide that we are going to be generous, that we're going to do good in the world. Sometimes that's thrust upon us. I don't think most of us woke up at the beginning of March and said, oh, hey, me, I'll give up seeing my friends and my grandparents, eating in restaurants, shopping in stores, playing in playgrounds. I'll give it up because I want to be helpful. And yet, that is what we've done. Sometimes we find that we are kinder, more generous, more helpful than we expected to be. And today I'm going to read you a story about a bear who had something that was really important to him that he did not think he could do without, and who did not set out to be generous. And yet, he realized that when it was required of him, he sure could be. So here's the story. Harold Loves His Woolly Hat by Vern Kuski. Harold loves to wear his woolly hat, even in the summertime. He wears it when he goes to school. He wears it when he sleeps. Harold even wears his woolly hat when he takes his monthly bath. When Harold wears his woolly hat, he knows he is a special bear, different from all the other bears. Then, one day, a crow swoops down and steals Harold's woolly hat. Now I just look like all the other bears, thinks Harold. How will anyone know that I am a very special bear? Harold has to win back his woolly hat. He gathers up some wriggly worms and says to the crow, "Let's trade." The crow swoops down and takes the worms and flies them to its nest. "Now, please give me back my woolly hat," shouts Harold. But the crow only replies, "Caw-caw, caw-caw." So Harold tries to make another trade. "Here are some tasty blueberries." The crow swoops down and takes the berries and flies them to its nest. "Now please give me back my woolly hat." Again, the crow just replies, "Caw-caw, caw-caw." "What a greedy little crow," growls Harold. "I'll never win back my woolly hat." Then he remembers his secret collection of shiny things. "Here you go, you mean old crow. I've got the perfect trade for you." The crow swoops down and takes the things and flies them to its nest. "Now will you give me back my woolly hat?" Once more, the crow only replies, "Caw-caw, caw-caw." There's just one thing left for Harold to do. He hides behind a rock and waits until the crow flies away. Then he sneaks over to the tree, climbs up, up, up to the tippy top, and sees 3 baby crows. Harold tucks the crows in tight and quietly climbs down from the nest. "Even without my woolly hat," he whispers, "I am still a very special bear." A helpful bear named Harold. The end.
Almost every Sunday for the last couple of decades, I have taken time in the middle of worship services that I'm leading to ask people to believe in their congregations enough to give some money to keep it going. More often than not, I know, I'm asking people who have already given to give more. And I've not always, I will admit to you, not always been clear why we do this and whether or not it makes a difference. But this whole experience of virtual church has helped me to know. People are giving, lots of people are giving to this congregation, mostly small amounts, what you can afford, nothing more. Giving because you believe, for whatever set of reasons are particular to you, that this congregation makes the world a little better. Maybe you believe that lots of congregations do that too, and this just happens to be the one that you're listening to and watching now. There's so much we can't do right now. We can't hang out with friends. We can't loiter at the coffee machine in the office. We can't go anywhere there will be people without a mask. But many of us can give little bits of money to organizations that make the world a little better, which feels good. While I was preparing this service, my eye was caught by an email from 7 Days, our wonderful weekly independent newspaper here in Burlington, on which I depend, along with VPR. So I stopped. I read part of the email. I took 2 minutes to send them some money. A little, not a lot. It made me feel like I was doing something. So are you. Your gifts to this congregation make a difference. Never doubt it. This week's collection will help support the First Unitarian Universalist Society of Burlington's Youth Group Fund, which supports youth group service projects here and elsewhere and other faith-building activities. Thank you for your faith and your gifts. Would you say together with me the words of dedication for today's offering? With gratitude, we dedicate these gifts in the service of our mission to inspire spiritual growth, care for each other and our community, seek truth, and act for justice. Share some moments of quiet now with me. Take a breath. Close your eyes if it helps. Listen to my voice. Breathe and rest and reflect, whatever way is your practice. We will listen first to some spoken words and then reflect, calling up the joys and the sorrows in life. And after a moment of silence, we will sing Dona Nobis Pacem. Give us peace. A poem called Childhood of a Stranger by Claire Bateman. You too once were carried in your sleep. You to someone a warm weight of breath and cloth, wisps of sleep like slow steam off your seamless face, day distilling into dreams in a skull yet soft. Now we are encrusted with barbed years, flinty, adamantine, ready to repel all assaults against our independence. But for that hint of honey, trace of down, that secret nerve that never has grown numb, there is a debt between us even now that our autonomy cannot remove. A bent towards something more than tolerance, older than kindness, oddly akin to love. How have you noticed this week how you are connected in the world? Have you noticed where your autonomy ends and how your deep debts to the people in your life show up? Who taught you how to live life on the joyful days and the sad ones too? And who are you teaching? Amid all our losses, let us not forget our gifts. Let us remember what makes the heart grow. Hold your joys and your sorrows tenderly. They are your teachers. Remember that you are not alone. Others hold you in mind and heart and prayer as you hold them. Let us be quiet together. Take a breath. Let us sing together, Dona nobis pacem.
Dona nobis pacem, pacem. Dona nobis pacem. Dona nobis pacem, pacem. Dona nobis 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 pacem.
I spend time now, in these days, wandering on the internet looking for, I don't know, inspiration. I think what I'd like are answers. I don't know what is going to happen, how I or any of us are going to be able to deal with it. It would be nice to have a plan, to know anything for sure. Sometime in the last few weeks, I ran into the work of Courtney Martin. She's a writer and a mother. Her blog is called The Examined Family. a recent blog post she entitled "My Tiny Yellow Book." It's referring to a published collection of sayings by the Buddhist teacher Pema Chodron. Whenever Courtney Martin had a hard day, she wrote, or she felt in need of some words of wisdom, she would open her tiny yellow book to any page, and Pema Chodron would provide an answer. Or not really an answer, so much as guidance on how to stay in whatever was happening without giving up or flipping out or just staying mad. This spring, just before COVID-19 arrived and upended everything, a dear friend of hers needed support. Her friend's mother had been diagnosed with a terrible cancer, and it seemed to the friend that all of life was falling apart. So, a care package was being assembled for this friend who needed to know that she had friends. What could Courtney give? She decided to put in her tiny yellow book. But part of me, she wrote, didn't want to give her my tiny yellow book. What if I needed it? And then I reasoned that's the whole point. You give what even feels hard to give to people you love when they're in pain. So I thanked it for its long service to me. I wrote a little inscription on the first page and let it go. Reflecting on this story, I remembered something clearly, all of a sudden, from years ago when I was in seminary. I was doing field work as a chaplain, visiting patients a few days a week at Women and Infants Hospital in Providence. I was working on the high-risk pregnancy floor, which means that because some of those mothers-to-be were there for quite a long time, I got to know them pretty well. They were there in a place of not knowing, looking for answers that just weren't there. I went in on this particular day that I was remembering because there was someone that I needed to see. I'm not sure what I thought I would say, but that was true every day that I was a chaplain. I had reading to do for class, I had papers to write, I had calls to return, but I felt that I just needed to show up. So I gathered my purple book bag, my shoulder bag, which was kind of my security blanket. I had had it all the way through seminary. I put in it my chaplaincy notes and the patient census from that week and the rules and regulations. I don't know. I drove to the hospital. I found a spot in the parking lot which was a good distance from the building. I got out and I locked the car, and I was distracted by whatever other tasks that I was thinking about and working on. And I was halfway to the building before I realized that I had left my purple bag in the car. Now, understand, this was not essential. There was no real wisdom in it. But carrying it made me feel somewhat more professional, slightly more prepared for whatever might happen. I stopped walking halfway there. I was about to retrace my steps and head back to the car to get my bag, but I decided that on that particular day I would just have to be enough. I could go in just myself without any props, except for my name tag. Uncertainty, it turns out, is easier to tolerate when we just let it be and show up as simply ourselves, present, awake, not ready. Courtney Martin writes that she has missed her tiny yellow book on the hard days during the pandemic, but she does not regret giving it away. It was the right thing to do, but it turns out that it also made her feel lighter, having less. A bit clearer, perhaps, about what is needed, what she needs to do, what she tells us we can do too. which includes looking at the detritus all around us, recognizing that this is the world that we have made and that we can change. Following the news enough to know something and resisting making plans and predictions. We need to pray for people who are alone or sick or frightened, though not for some particular resolution. We need to donate to causes that we believe in. That's what she does. And because Peter and I have enough and others don't, we also have been donating money to people and organizations that we believe in, at least to the extent of our stimulus check and more than that. Later on today, as soon as I get to it, I'm going to make a donation to Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders, who are, as you probably know, now in the Navajo Nation, helping people for whom the pandemic is especially hard. As Courtney Martin says, the more I give away, the less frightened I feel. She urges us to remember. The only way to move through a fog of unknown size and shape is to feel your own feet on the ground, to walk humbly without a lot of expectation or baggage. Some days now I just keep bursting into tears. This morning, on social media, on my phone, I saw a picture of a graduation ceremony which had been created by a proud father for his daughter who had graduated from college without a commencement ceremony. He built a platform in front of the garage right in their driveway. There was a stage and robes and 2 seats in front for the graduate and I think her mother. Pomp and circumstance was blasting forth from the speakers I read, and neighbors across the street were cheering at a safe distance. I don't know why this particular story of extravagant love and devotion and deep faith in the future made me cry. There are so many more like this one, buried in among stories of short-sightedness and fear and selfishness. Good stories of people loving each other, of actually getting closer while staying at a distance. The stories are growing, I hope, because we are going to need to trust and love and believe in one another, because this pandemic and the failures, the immoral, indefensible, pointless, mortal failures of our national government are hurting us. They're breaking down the sense of connection and trust and solidarity that people can have with one another and about our communities. And because that's happening, those of us who can must do even more. It's not enough to just wait. It is not enough to watch the news and lament. It's good to restore our spirits by getting out in nature, by cooking and gardening and meditating. But we need also to reach out. We need to write emails and appreciative notes and make art and talk to other people, not too close. We need to make signs and send postcards appreciating essential workers, medical staff, childcare providers, delivery people, and postal workers, and our friends. We need to buy local and tip extravagantly. Jeff Bezos does not need any more of our money. At a distance, with our beautiful masks or our bandanas in place, we can talk, we can make noise, we can leave gifts on doorsteps. We can offer to pick up groceries for people who can't or are afraid to go to the grocery store. We can cheer one another from across the street at a safe distance. Some days I burst into tears, other days I can't believe how lucky I am. Late this week, I sent an email to James and to Sam to explain what I wanted to be talking about in this service so that Sam could have a sense of what the music might be. I wasn't entirely sure how to express it, so I sent Sam a poem that I thought said what I wanted to say more clearly. Let me share it with you. Kindness by Naomi Shihab Nye. Before you know what kindness really is, you must lose things. Feel the future dissolve in a moment like salt in a weakened broth. What you held in your hand, what you counted and carefully saved, all this must go. So you know how desolate the landscape can be between the regions of kindness. Before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak to it till your voice catches the thread of all sorrows and you see the size of the cloth. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore. Only kindness that ties your shoes and sends you out into the day to mail letters and purchase bread. Only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, "It is I you have been looking for," and then goes with you everywhere, like a shadow or a friend. And then I looked at the order of service and the changes that Sam made in it. All three of the incidental pieces of music, the prelude, the offertory, the postlude, are improvisations that Sam Whitesell wrote inspired by this poem about kindness. Thank you, Sam. May kindness go with all of you everywhere, like a shadow or a friend. So may it be. So may it blessed be.
My life flows on in endless song, above us lamentation. I hear the real, the far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars, I know the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me close, songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging, since love prevails in heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? To prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging, when friends by shame are undefiled. How can I keep from singing? Sing that first verse again. My life flows on in endless song, Above us lamentation, I hear the sweet though far off hymn that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing?
Let us extinguish our chalice. Say the words with me. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with the world until we are together again. The benediction is from the poetry of Denise Levertov. Don't say there is no water to solace the dryness at our hearts. I have seen the fountain springing out of the rock wall and you drinking there. And I too, before your eyes, found footholds and climbed to drink the cool water. Don't say there is no water. That fountain is there, among its scalloped green and gray stones. It is still there, and always there, with its quiet song and strange power to spring in us, up and out through the rock. Go in peace.